everyone. I wanted to start off the year with a bit, well, it's already the end of January, but whatever. I wanted to start off 2019 with a video on money and finance tips that are useful for self-employed beauty professionals. To be honest, those tips are pretty useful for anyone that's in business, but I really want to focus on beauty professionals because that's what I do. I am a hairstylist that is specialized in natural hair care in both Montreal, Canada, and New York City. I have been doing hair now for almost 12 years, and probably 7 or 8 out of those years I've been self-employed. So I'm going to give you 5 tips that has helped me in my career, and I hope that it helps you too. Quick disclaimer, I do have a certificate in accounting. However, I am not a CPA, I am not a tax professional. So if ever you have questions about something that's very, very specific, then definitely follow my first tip, which is to hire an accountant. Most likely the first person that you're going to hire when you first become self-employed, if you haven't already, the first person should be an accountant. The accountant is pretty much going to make sure that you're going on the right path financially in your business, and just to make sure that you're good. Another person that you should hire is a bookkeeper, and this is the one that's going to make sure that you're doing good daily, weekly, and like monthly. It's usually a bookkeeper, you see them weekly, sometimes monthly, and then an accountant, you see them like quarterly. I have 2 references to give when it comes to accountants. The first one, she's the one that I hired, and she is based in DC. She is specialized in tiny businesses. The second one is an accountant that is based in Atlanta, and she is specialized in beauty professionals. So she used to be a hairstylist for 20 years, and then she decided to become a CPA. So she knows what we're going through, so definitely look into her. Never hired her, however, I did take a little course that she did at a convention. The thing about bookkeeping is that sometimes there are accountants that do both. So if you find an accountant that does bookkeeping also, then you're good. The thing with bookkeeping is that sometimes you could do it yourself, which is what I do. So if ever you feel like you're comfortable with numbers, then definitely don't hesitate to do it yourself, which brings me to my second tip. It is to educate yourself. Now, if you are a beauty professional, you most likely know that in beauty school we don't learn anything about business, which is what happened to me. I think the only thing they mentioned about business was how you don't really have to do hair to be in the beauty industry. You can also be a distributor, you could also be a salon owner and make a lot of money. That's it. So educate yourself. It means it could be like a 6-week course on bookkeeping. It could be a 1-day class where it shows you like the basics of accounting. They usually give that in most neighborhoods. Another thing you could do is just go to the library and just read up on books about business, about taxes, and etc. You can also buy books. The one book that I read recently that has really helped me in my business, this book really helped me to give me a snapshot of how healthy my business was in my bank account, and I highly recommend it. So there are tons of books like this, so you could definitely read them all and just educate yourself. My third tip, if ever you do decide that you want to DIY your bookkeeping, is to definitely look into cloud-based accounting softwares. I mean, now they're getting more and more popular. I don't recommend doing it on pen and paper. You would go crazy. So definitely invest in those software. And the cool thing about it is that most of them, you can actually take pictures of your receipt and just put them in the software, and then you don't have to worry about having a big binder or a big folder full of receipts when it's tax season. Personally, my favorite is QuickBooks. I not only use it in the States, but also use the Canadian one, and I have no complaints. My fourth tip is to separate your finances. And this is just to not only keep track of your expenses when it comes to like your business, but also at the end of the year when it's time to like tally up everything, it's just so much easier if everything is separated, especially if you do end up using something like QuickBooks. I only started separating my finances, like honestly, a year ago. actually less than a year ago, and it has been very eye-opening. Before, I used to, like, if I would make money, it would all go into one account. And if I needed groceries, I would take it out of that account. If I needed to buy clothes, I would take it out of that account. If I needed to get color, I would take it out of that account. And it was, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was crazy. It was crazy. The reason why I decided to separate my finances this year is because I got married. If I would have put everything in one bank account, my husband's income, and then mine come from Canada, and then mine come, it would have been crazy. So definitely separate your finances, especially if you're looking into growing your business and wanting to own a salon. It's better that you know how it's like having your finances separate, so that when it's time to my last tip, and I think that's the most important, and that is to budget. Budgeting is definitely the reason why I've always been able to make a profit from the very beginning. I totally understand if you're starting out and you don't know how much money you're going to make. You have an idea. Like, if the first week you made $50, most likely next month you're probably gonna make 60, and then the month after that, if you know your customer service is good, you're probably gonna make 80, and then 100, and then 120 the next month, and so on and so forth. And you also see how you're spending your money, so then you could calculate your expenses and etc. But anyways, highly recommend budgeting. Okay, I've been budgeting my life since I was 17. I remember my life before budgeting and after budgeting, completely different. If ever you want me to do a video on how I budget when it comes to my business, I can definitely show you how I do it. I do it on Excel. I've seen people do it like online. There's sites for that. There's people that do it with pen and paper. But for me, I love Excel. And yeah, I could definitely show you how. Just let me know in the comment section. And those are my tips that have helped me throughout my career. I hope it helps you. If ever you want to share some tips, if ever you have questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and I will see you soon.